Hello there, how can I help you today? Okay, I understand. I'll do my best to make detailed pinpoint guesses and explain my reasoning. Let's start whenever you're ready. Based on the image, I'd say we're likely in the western United States. The landscape features a mix of coniferous trees and dry grasses, which is common in that region. The hills also suggest a mountainous or foothill area. Looking at the vegetation type, I'd guess that we might be somewhere in Colorado. Do you want me to be more specific or take a guess? South Dakota is a bit further north than I initially thought. The landscape there must have some similar characteristics to Colorado, which is why I made that guess. I will try to take that into consideration on future guesses. Are you ready for the next round? Okay, I see a very flat, open landscape with dry, golden grasses and what appears to be farmland. Given this, I'd say we're likely somewhere in the Great Plains region of the United States. The absence of trees and the overall dryness suggests a more arid climate. I would lean towards Kansas or Nebraska. Do you want to make a guess now, or would you like to refine the location further? Okay, Oregon is a bit surprising given the flat landscape, but it does have diverse geography. The eastern part of the state is indeed characterized by high desert and plains, which explains the landscape we saw. I will try to keep this in mind for future guesses. Are you ready for another round? I see another flat, open landscape with dry grasses. There's a long straight road with a car, and the sky is clear with very few clouds. Given the landscape and the style of the road, I would again lean towards the Great Plains region of the United States. The straight road and lack of trees suggest a rural setting, and the dry vegetation points to a drier climate. Based on this, I will guess that we are in Kansas or Nebraska. Would you like to make a guess or refine the location further? Given that both Kansas and Nebraska share similar characteristics, I'll make a more specific guess. Considering the slight rolling hills in the distance and the overall dryness of the landscape, I'm going to lean towards Kansas. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly without more distinct features, but the terrain seems more consistent with Kansas than Nebraska in this particular image. Okay, North Dakota is yet another state I didn't consider. It seems I need to expand my understanding of the Great Plains region. I will certainly try to improve my guesses going forward. I am ready for the next round, if you are. This is a different landscape. I see a dry, desert-like environment with mountains in the distance. The vegetation is sparse and low-lying, and there's a paved road stretching across the scene. Based on these clues, I'd say we're likely in South America, possibly in the Andes region. The terrain looks like it could be in Chile or Peru. What do you think? Should I narrow it down further? Given the landscape, the arid climate, and the presence of the Andes Mountains in the background, I'll make a guess that we're in Chile. The combination of the desert terrain and the high-altitude mountains makes Chile a likely location. It appears I was incorrect. Argentina does share a border with Chile and has similar arid landscapes in certain regions, which explains why I made the mistake. I apologize for that and will try to be more accurate in the future. I am ready for another round if you are. This scene is quite different from the previous ones. I see a fairly urban or suburban area with a paved road, a grassy median, and several trees. There's a white van and some street signs visible. Based on the style of the street signs and the architecture, I'd say we're likely in Europe. Specifically, I'm thinking it could be Germany. What do you think? Should I be more specific or make a guess? Let's try to narrow it down within Germany. The overall look of the street and the surrounding area doesn't appear to be a major city center. It seems more like a suburban or smaller town setting. Given the types of trees and the general architecture, I would guess that we are in the northern part of Germany. So I'll make a guess that we are somewhere in Lower Saxony. It looks like we are on a paved road, with a dense forest on either side. The trees appear to be birch or aspen, which suggests a northern latitude. The sky is overcast. Considering this, I'd guess we are somewhere in Scandinavia, possibly Finland or Sweden. If I had to be more precise, I'd say we are likely in central or northern Finland, due to the type of trees and the somewhat flat landscape. What do you think? I see that it was Russia. My guess of Finland was close, but not quite right. The image of the forest and the road did resemble that region. It seems I need to take into account the possibility of Russia's northern regions more. Do you want to play another round? I see the new image. This one is quite different. It looks like we are on a paved road in a rural area. The vegetation is a mix of grasses and deciduous trees, and the sky is partly cloudy with puffy cumulus clouds. The landscape appears flat, which could indicate a few locations. Based on the look of the foliage, the flat land, and the type of clouds, I would guess we are somewhere in the Midwestern United States, or perhaps in Argentina or Uruguay. If I had to pick one, I would lean towards Argentina due to the slight yellowish tone of the vegetation. What do you think? Okay, I see. It was indeed Argentina, in the Santa Fe province. I'm glad I got that one right. It's satisfying to make a correct guess. I'm ready for the next round, whenever you are. This image shows a rural landscape with rolling hills and a fence line. The grass appears to be a mix of green and brown, suggesting it might be late summer or early fall. There are also deciduous trees in the background. Given the rolling hills, the type of trees, and the general look of the landscape, this reminds me of the eastern United States, maybe somewhere in the Appalachian region. I'd guess somewhere in the states of Pennsylvania, Ohio, or West Virginia. What do you think? I'll pick one. Based on the landscape, I'd say the most likely location is somewhere in West Virginia. It has a lot of rolling hills and forests. Let's see if that's right. This image shows a paved road with a fence line on one side and some trees and shrubs. The landscape is somewhat dry and scrubby, with a few hills in the background. Based on the type of vegetation and the overall dryness, I would guess we are somewhere in Africa, possibly a savanna region. If I had to be more specific, I might guess somewhere in southern Africa, maybe Namibia or Botswana. What do you think? Okay, I will pick one. Based on the landscape, I'd say the most likely location is Botswana. It seems to fit the dry savanna and scrubby vegetation. Let's see if that's right. Oh wow, it was Brazil. That's quite a miss. I was way off with my guess of Botswana. The landscape must have looked more similar than I realized. It seems I still have a lot to learn. This one shows a dirt road with a fence line and rolling green hills. The vegetation looks lush and tropical, and there appear to be some cows grazing in the distance. Based on this, and the fact that we were just in Brazil, I'm gonna guess that we are somewhere in Brazil again. The hills and lush vegetation make me think of a rural area, possibly in the southeastern part of the country. What do you think? It was indeed in Brazil, so my guess was correct this time, though not very precise. I'm glad I was able to get it right. Would you like to play another round, or do you want to stop? Okay, I'm ready. This image shows a paved road going through a dense forest, with tall, deciduous trees creating a canopy overhead. The trees appear to be mature, and the road looks well maintained. This looks like it could be somewhere in the eastern United States or perhaps Europe. Given the mature trees and the overall look of the landscape, I'm going to guess we are somewhere in the northeastern United States, perhaps in New England. What do you think? Based on the image, I'd say we are most likely in Vermont. It has a lot of dense forests and small roads like that. Let's see if that's correct. See, it was Pennsylvania. That's pretty close to my guess of Vermont, and both are in the northeastern US. It seems like I'm getting better at pinpointing the region, even if I'm not spot on with the exact state. Do you want to keep playing or stop here?